Welcome to r/TrueOffMyChest, where this unfortunate man confesses that his family are disappointed that he beat cancer. My family seemed disappointed I beat my illness. My little nephew confirmed my suspicions. I am a 47-year-old man, and I was diagnosed with cancer about 6 months ago. I don't know what happened, but I was misdiagnosed. It wasn't malignant as the initial diagnosis. Anyway, I'm recovering. Now, I don't know why, but it felt like my mum and sister weren't all glad about me recovering. I didn't make a fuss, but I told my girlfriend about my observation. She told me not to worry and that they were probably still in shock. We were invited to my mum's house last Sunday, and that's when my nephew, who was 12, was a bit angry and blurted out something about him thinking he was going to be rich soon because I was sick. It felt like a gut punch. I'm child-free, so I don't really know when people start being buttholes, but it felt like he's still too young for that. So the next explanation is that he's heard the adults around him say it. I laughed and looked at my family. They pretended they didn't hear. Only my girlfriend watched me in horror. I asked my nephew why he would think he would get rich when I have my girlfriend. He was confused. I saw my sister turn around at that announcement. My girlfriend spent the rest of the evening holding my hand, caressing it. Mum called the day after and she was dancing around the subject, trying to find out more. I never discussed my will with anyone, but what were they expecting? I've been with my girlfriend for 13 years. She's the love of my life and my family. What the frick is going on? I'm changing my will, excluding my nephews who I thought I would leave some for. It's going to charity instead. Imagine that. You get diagnosed with cancer and your family are literally waiting for you to die so they can benefit from your will. How could you ever look at them the same? That is disgraceful. Good on you, OP, for even getting rid of your nephew from the will. I don't care that his family was saying the same thing. He's 12 years old now. He's more than old enough to think for himself, and that is just disgusting. I found out my boyfriend baby trapped me. I am an 18-year-old woman, and I'm currently 24 weeks pregnant with a baby boy. I've been with my 19-year-old boyfriend since I was a freshman and he was a sophomore. True high school sweethearts. We have that picture-perfect small-town relationship of the head cheerleader and football captain, even down to winning homecoming king and queen nearly every year. I'm in my last year of school, and since I've been pregnant, it's been really difficult. I'm doing dual enrollment courses through college too, so I'm supposed to be graduating with my associates when I graduate high school. I'm extremely exhausted both mentally and physically. I really wouldn't wish this on anyone. I've been terribly sick. Everything makes me feel sick. I just want to sleep all the time, and now people are staring and whispering constantly since I'm showing. Last night, I was over at my boyfriend's house, and we decided to bake some cookies just for the heck of it, and I was craving something sweet. He didn't have any cookie dough, so I thought we could look up a YouTube video and make it from scratch. He handed me his phone, and I typed in "how to" into Google. The first thing that comes up is literally how to baby trap a girl. I didn't know if this was some kind of joke or what. I clicked his search history, went way back, and saw a whole list of searches, like how to tamper with birth control pills, how to increase sperm counts, how to track ovulation, just all kind of weird searches. I just showed him his phone and asked what all that was about. He laughed and just said plain as day, "Well, I wanted a baby." I was in complete shock. I asked why he thought that was a good idea and if he actually did anything that these searches suggested. He said that he did, and the reason why he did was because he thought we were ready to start a family. I'm absolutely fuming at this point, and I just left to drive home. He's texted, called, everything trying to talk to me, but I don't even know where to begin. I'm so mad. I mean, I don't know the legalities here, but surely that has to be illegal. Surely, OP, you can now go to the police with the evidence that you have from these searches, or I guess try and voice record him confessing to what he did. Like, that has to be illegal, right? If you do know anything, please let me know in the comments down below, but surely tampering with birth control pills, that has to be illegal. Leave this man immediately. My dog's previous owners tried to get him back, and now I'm traumatized. My husband and I adopted a dog. After learning he has severe anxiety, we haven't left him alone. While my partner or I go to work, he goes to daycare. We do weekend activities and walk him after dinner each night. We don't even go out to eat unless we can bring him and we just sit outside. In my opinion, I think we are decent owners. He's currently in training and on meds for separation anxiety. Recently, we went semi-viral for a post. I won't go into specifics for privacy reasons. My account was tagged, and shortly after, I got a DM. The user, a Karen, went on to explain how she found me, and after stalking my profile, she could see we lived in the same county. Apparently, her and her husband were remote workers, but soon were required back to the office. The dog, now my dog, the one I adopted, was being left in the crate by this Karen, and eventually had started to destroy his crate, and when he broke free, he destroyed their apartment. She goes on to say how she is back to being a remote worker and would like the dog back, having the time for him now. She sent pictures of him to prove everything she was saying. I told her they made the right decision, understanding they didn't have the time or resources. But I'm not a foster, I adopted this dog, and he's mine. I told her her I'm sorry she regrets giving him up, but dogs are lifelong commitments, and I'm not going to give him back just because she, and I quote, had him first. She went on to tell me what a horrible person I was, and how she had the dog since he was 8 weeks old, and she's practically the only mum he's ever known. I, again, told her no, then finally blocked her. 2 weeks pass and I'm home alone with the dog when I hear someone jiggle the door handle and then start pounding on my door. I saw on the camera a man. I asked him what he wanted through our security app, and he told me to open the goddamn door. The dog followed me into our back bedroom, where I locked the door and grabbed my husband's firearm. I'm still on the app, and I tell him I'm armed, and if anyone tries to come into the house, I will use it. He needs to leave now, and I'm calling the police. He's just yelling, "Open the door, you frickin' female dog. I know who you are." I felt physically sick. He said my name. I call 911 and text my husband to come home now. I tell the operator I'm 14 weeks pregnant and someone is trying to break into my house, but I'm armed. For 5 minutes, he continues to pound on my front door. I'm watching through the app, making sure he hasn't broken in yet. The longest 5 minutes of my life. The cops came shortly before my husband got there. I watched the whole ordeal through my phone with my husband screaming, "Where's my wife?" Police pull the guy to the side, to which he claims we'd stolen his mum's dog. The dog, the frickin' dog. I'd gotten paranoid after listening to a true crime episode of a woman cutting a baby out of another woman's belly. Police told him that was civil matter, but trespassing was not. We were asked do we want to press charges, and we are. I'm still so shaken as to how he figured out where we lived. Was I being stalked? Since then, I've changed all my social media handles, and now I'm just waiting on what happens next. Wow, first of all, I'm so sorry you went through this. This sounds horribly traumatic. I can't actually believe that someone would go to these lengths for a dog. Secondly, this guy, he needs to be locked up for a very, very long time. You're so right about the rules of adoption, but none of that really even matters at this point. Simply, this guy has come and threatened to, do crazy things to you on your property. Surely that means that he's getting locked up for a long time. At least I hope so. My boyfriend smashed our television set in anger when his football team lost. I am a 29-year-old woman, and I've honestly never been so scared in my life. My sister is letting me stay with her. Only her and my brother-in-law know what happened. I've never seen anyone so furious over something so small. I'm going to end our relationship because I can't stay with this man who destroys things over a loss, especially with me cornered in the room while he's yelling and smashing. I'm ashamed, but for a second I thought I would die. It was so scary, and though it was on Friday, thinking about it now still makes me cry. It wasn't over an American football team. I live in the UK and we are Southampton supporters. I don't know a thing about American football. Now, the reason I chose this short story to include in this episode is because I myself am a big football fan in the UK. I'm a big Chelsea fan, one of the biggest teams in this country. If you didn't know, just last week, I actually went to Milan to watch Chelsea away against AC Milan in a truly wonderful game of football. So as you can probably tell, yeah, I do get sometimes quite, emotional when watching football, let's just say. However, there's a difference between being really into a sport and this, which is just ridiculous and bordering on abusive. OP, you should never ever feel ashamed when someone is literally smashing something in front of you because of a game of sport. I mean, that is truly ridiculous. It obviously was so scary. Get rid of him. Now, so far this episode has been quite negative, I will say, but that is not the case for all stories on r/TrueOffMyChest, so I've chosen this one that is very wholesome to end off today's video. Today, my wife met my girlfriend. I, a 32-year-old man, am a widow. My wife passed away from pancreatic cancer 5 years ago. She was forcibly behind our 2 kids, Ron, who is 10, and Harry, who is 7. My wife was the absolute light of my life. We were high school sweethearts, went to the same college, and got married after graduation. We were inseparable. Every day I fell more in love with her. It was like my heart was living outside my body. When she passed, the amount of pain I was in was indescribable. I prayed to go to sleep and not wake up, just so I could see her one last time. I even contemplated meeting her, but every time I was ready, my kids would look at me. They had her face, her personality, her DNA. I couldn't leave them. They were all I had left of her. It took years before I was able to function normally again. I even quit my job and lived off of savings and her life insurance for about a year. I was half the dad I used to be and only a fraction of my former self. 2 years after her passing, I decided enough was enough and I kicked myself into gear. I found a job in a different city, closer to my parents. I packed my kids up and I moved. Life was hard, but I kept chugging along and eventually I found some joy. A year after moving, I took a business trip to New York where I met my current girlfriend, Lila. While I acknowledged there was chemistry, I told her I was already married and she understood. However, a few months later, I had to go back to New York where we met up again. I let my guard down for the first time around her. Before I knew it, she was putting in a transfer for my home branch and moving to my city. I fell in love with her and I asked her out a year ago next month. My kids adore her, and though she reminded them she will never take their mum's place, they lovingly call her Mama L. Today was the anniversary of my wife's passing, an extremely hard day for all of us. This morning, I walked into the living room to find Lila and my kids waiting for me. The kids were dressed in their church clothes with goofy smiles on their faces and bouquets in hand. Apparently, Lila came up with the idea of a picnic at my wife's grave, an idea that the boys loved as they enjoy going to see their mum. While I was sleeping, they prepared food and flowers, then insisted on wearing their best clothes. I'll admit that I cried at the sight of them. I don't know how I got this lucky twice in a row. I wanted my wife to meet this amazing woman, so I asked Lila to come along, and she did. The day that I dread every year turned out to be a humbling reminder of the reason why I stayed on this planet. To my lovely wife, you can never be replaced, but she is good to me and she takes care of our kids like you would. Thank you for sending her to me. And now we have a little update from OP. I already had a profound appreciation for my girlfriend before I made that post, but the comments gave me an entirely new perspective. The night after I made that post, I took my girlfriend out to dinner, and I can't explain it, but the light I was viewing her in was different. Everything she did that night gave me butterflies. She was showing me pictures that she took at the aquarium with my oldest, and I couldn't stop staring at her. In that moment, I came to the conclusion that I was going to propose a lot sooner than I expected. A few days later, I went ring shopping with her mum, who was very excited, and we found the perfect ring. I then made a reservation at her favourite restaurant for last Friday and set the big day in motion. Long story short, I'm getting married again. As some of you said, promotions can wait, though after looking at her wedding dress, I may need a promotion to financially recover. I'm excited to start this journey with her and my amazing kids. As I've said before, I am so lucky. I hope you all find your own Lila, and thank you again. So there you go. As you can see, not every story on this subreddit is inherently negative. I mean, that is just such a nice story. So wholesome, so sad, but it's amazing how life can change in just a small period of time. And yeah, I do agree with you. You've been very fortunate to meet someone else who is pretty much as amazing as your wife was. Let me know down below, guys. Do you prefer the more wholesome stories like the one I just read, or the others in this episode, which, let's be honest, were pretty dark, or a mixture of the two? I don't know about you. I quite like the wholesome ones. I like it when they're mixed in together. But yeah, you let me know, and I'll see you all tomorrow with a brand new Reddit episode.